Hey all, insight number 4, we're in Acts 27 and we're going to talk about how Jesus Christ and our interactions with him, especially the testimony building ones, are anchor points and relate it to actual anchors that save them in a shipwreck. So we've talked about Paul talking to King Agrippa. It's going to get upscaled to Caesar, which we know because the Lord already told him, you're going to go and see, you're going to go to Rome, you're going to go back to Rome. So you go see, it's where Caesar lives, right? So he's in this boat on the way to Rome, finally get a boat. They've sailed too late, so the weather's really bad. They get shipwrecked, basically. But there's a whole story of that, which is a good thing to think about, and maybe you can get your kids to draw a picture of it, or if you want to focus on just this one chapter, that would be a really great lesson too. So there's some really great ideas in there around anchors and anchor points and how you would save yourself from a shipwreck. But Paul speaks up here a couple of times saying, I don't think this is going to be good, and they ignore him. But he still continues to go through and help them anyway. So they actually have in 14, because they left too late in the season and it's coming into winter and it's actually dangerous sailing with many storms. And it says in 14, but not long after there arose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon. I don't know. Anyway, that one. And that translated as wind that was feared. So it was like how we would say a tornado or a hurricane or something like that. Like they had that called that then. So a wind that was feared. So it was dangerous, deathly, and it's like batten down the hatches and be tight because it's not going to be good for us. They don't have that option though. They're on a boat. How do you lock yourself in? Come on. So they figured out that because they lightened the ship, so they dumped everything off it. It was still really dangerous. They were directionless. And then in 21 we come in, but after long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them and again spoke up, saying, Sirs, you should have hearkened unto me, and not have loosed from Crete, and to have gained this harm and loss. If you'd just waited a few months, we would have been past this ugly season. We could have all stayed there and then sailed, But they were like, no, we've got to go. So, okay. But now I exhort you to be of good cheer. In the midst of all this, I've just told you you've done everything wrong, but I'm telling you to be happy. It's like, okay, all right, what are you going to say? For there shall be no loss of any man's life among you, but for the ship. Okay, so the ship's going to get destroyed, but you're all going to be okay. But this is what we got to do. And he says, for there stood by me this night an angel of God, whose I am and whom I serve. So he's stating his identity. An angel of the God came by. I belong to God and I serve him. And the angel came and told me what to do. Identity. He knows who he is. Saying, fear not, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar, and lo, God hath given thee all them that sail with thee. So, okay, now I have purpose. I've got a job to do. I know who I am. I've got a job to do. And then in 23, wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer, for I believe God that it shall be even as it was told unto me. Okay, now I believe in my cause. So I know who I am. I've got a purpose, and I believe I can do it. I feel confident I can. Yep. Basically, because he knows who he is. He's got the goal, got it. So he's believing. And then, howbeit we must be cast upon a certain island. It's like we're going to have to be shipwrecked on an island. Trust the plan. Trust it. And then again down in 29 is again trust it. And then he tells them to stay on this well-anchored ship. They put out 4 anchors on either corner, like a foundation. Like if we're going to have a good foundation, it generally has 4 corners. You go back to Solomon's knot, has 4 corners. It is sturdy, steady foundation. It is symbolic through many cultures in the entire world, is shapes where they have 4 corners or 4 posts or even more because of that steady foundation. So they get 4 anchors, wrap them down. It says stay on the ship. If you leave in this terrible wind, you're going down. Stay on the boat. So everyone stays. And then they actually get ropes and wrap them round the ship. So because the ship's really light compared to this wind, so that it can hold together. So while the day was coming on, this is in 33 now, Paul besought them to take, we're past fasting, we're past this Passover feast. You need to eat to get strength. So gather strength and give thanks. and like take this for your health. Like you need to keep up your strength. This is a dire situation. Fasting right now is not going to help you. Fasting is a peaceful thing, and we can do that later and give thanks then. Right now we need to eat and give thanks. That's what we're going to do right now. It's different for every situation. And then in 40, it tells that when they had taken up the anchors, so they take up the anchors now, and they committed themselves into the sea, loosed the bands, and hoist up the mainsail, and it sails enough. The ship's now held together with all these ropes they wrap around it, and it sails enough until it pretty much gets broken up, and they're close enough to shore that they can all save it from the sea. Some swim, those that can go swim, and then the rest of them literally paddle on some boards and get to land, and they end up on this island, which we get told about in 28. But the anchor points are the fascinating thing here, and each witness we give creates an anchor point. So each of those experiences we can remember and tell about are those anchor points. Now Paul's anchor points were he knew who he was, and he knew he had a purpose, and he had faith in doing it, and he trusted the plan. Those were his 4 anchor points. So we need to have experiences that relate to that as well. We need to know who we are, we need to know the plan, we need to have faith in the plan, and then we need to enact the plan. And those can be our anchor points. And we can have multiple identity anchor points, but like those things are the ones that keep us grounded. A place to hold us in the storms. So we read here of Paul's perilous journey, and how once again he was bold in speaking with the Holy Ghost, whether he was listened to or not. He spoke up twice. The first time they didn't listen to him. The second time they're like, well, what have we got to lose, right? We might as well listen to this guy. And it worked out for them. So I think that would have been like a great conversion moment for many of them as well. Verses 20 to 40 teach how to follow anchor points to safety. So anchor points of, again, knowing who you are, your purpose, your faith, and your trust in God. We need anchor points for those things. This allows you to gather strength, and don't forget to say thanks, and stay committed to the plan and committed to God. So what are some of your anchor points that hold you safe in stormy times? Knowing who you are is a big one. Knowing that I'm a child of God through my entire life has really anchored me in whatever storm is going on, but that was only even one anchor. So although I'm anchored, I'm still spinning in circles. I needed those other points. So I had to then, again, find out, like, I know I'm a child of God, but what's my purpose? I need a purpose. And once I got my purpose, then I had 2 anchor points. And then I developed faith in that. Whatever came up, I could do it because I knew who I was and I knew what the plan was. So I had faith I could do it. And then I'm still learning that 4th anchor point, trusted in God. I've got 3 that are really solid. The 4th one, I'm still learning, but it's still a good anchor. So that when these storms hit, I get rocked about and knocked over, and the ship might break eventually, but I'm solidly anchored and I'm above water. Albeit sometimes it's up to here and other days it's down further, but I'm solidly anchored. So think what those things are for you, and do you need to develop better anchors to have that stability? It's a very important thing. Start with knowing whose you are. Who are you? Who do you belong to? And yeah, start with that. That's the big one to start with. And it's hard for a lot of us because we doubt that we're good enough and that we're not going to be accepted and that we've done something wrong, and they're angry with us. And it's like, I can absolutely assure you and testify to you 100%, doesn't matter what you've done, they will still talk to you and they will still give you help. 100%. You still can choose to belong. And then you know whose you are, gives you strength to move on. That first anchor point is crucial. So maybe work on that and then look at the others. If you've got that first one down, start looking at the others. But that's what keeps us solid in stormy times. All right, hang around. We're going to look at the last one for the week over in Acts 28. I'll see you there.